All right. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us on this beautiful evening tonight to learn all about Cook County property tax exemptions. We are recording, so please be aware of that. Also, because we are recording, you'll be able to go back and watch this anytime. We're going to post it on Facebook after this, and we'll have it on our website as well. So you don't need to be frantic or worry if you've missed some parts of it. Hector Dominguez is with us tonight. He's going to speak for about 30 or 40 minutes. And then from that point on, we'll have about 20 or 30 minutes for questions. So there's going to be plenty of time for questions. Any questions that you do have as Hector's presenting or after, please put in the Q&A box at the bottom. Just click on Q&A. Do not post in the chat. It may even be disabled. We won't be checking the chat. So just post in Q&A, please. We're also going to have Gail Towers and Teresa Chandler from the Cook County Assessor's Office answering some questions as we go as well. So we just want to make sure we field everything we can possibly field for you guys tonight. Anything we don't get to, Hector's actually going to show you how you can contact the office directly after the fact as well. And we're going to send out an email. Everybody who registered tonight is going to get an email after this, usually within the next few days or so. And that's going to have a link to this recording. It's also going to have any other things that might come up along the way that we say we're going to put into the email, because that sometimes happens. So you can keep your eyes out for that as well. Yeah, and other than that, coming up in April, we're going to have 2 more webinars. We have one on native plants and another one on attic expansion. So check those out for sure. You can find those at our website at www.chicagobungalow.org. And then click on seminars and events, and we've got a list of them there for you guys as well. I think that's about it. Just to recap for some folks who came in the last minute, please post any questions you have in the Q&A box. We're going to wrap up at 7 tonight, but we're going to have Gail and Teresa answering questions along the way, and then we'll have time at the end as well. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Hector. Hector Dominguez has worked in Cook County government on and off for the last 20 years. He's been working for the Cook County Assessor Office for the past 12 years, where he's worked on many different departments to hone his skills as the community outreach liaison. And he is going to tell us all about Cook County property tax exemptions tonight. So whenever you want to go ahead and share your screen, Hector, feel free.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody here who's watching today, my name is Hector Dominguez. I'm here on behalf of the Cook County Assessor's Office. It is a pleasure to have you with me tonight. Thank you to the Chicago Bungalow Association for having me here today. Guys, you literally could be anywhere else in the world, but you're here with me, so thank you so much. I know it's almost dinner time for some people, maybe it's past your dinner time, so I promise I will be straight to the point, concise, and give you as much education as humanly possible, so much knowledge. And then we'll jump into my favorite part, which is the Q&A. Before we go any further, I do want to mention that with us tonight, I do have our co-workers. So shout out to Teresa Chandler, shout out to Ms. Gail Towers, and we're here. If you have any questions, maybe you're like me and you're like, hey, I need to ask this question now because I'm going to forget later. That's fine. Listen, cool, no worries. Go ahead and write them in the Q&A section that's in the Zoom chat, not the chat, but the Q&A portion, and we will be answering them while the presentation is going, and at the very end, I will be going over these as well. So without any further ado, let us begin. Let's go. So, Chicago Bungalow Association, thank you guys for having us. A lot of people, when we come out to these events or we do these events in person or on Zoom, they always want to know, what does the assessor actually do? The assessor's office does many different things. I'm going to highlight a couple. So very quickly, our office is responsible for putting a value on 1.9 million different properties. You can almost say 2 million, but it's 1.9 million different properties in Cook County. And it's our job to put a value on these properties based on a mass appraisal system. So I know that there's this idea where we get bored and we come up with a number, we make up a number, or we pull a number out of a hat. That is not the case. These are all these values that our office comes up with use the mass appraisal system. I do want to let everybody know that this is live, this is recorded. So if I am going too fast, I apologize, but you can just pause it, read, and then continue. So the assessor's office is responsible for lots of different things, but what I want to focus on is it is our responsibility to make sure if you qualify that we give you your exemptions. Exemptions are another word or term for discounts, the discounts on your property taxes, and that is what we're going to be talking about today. Here is what our office does not do. We do not issue tax bills. We do not collect tax bill payments. So when you pay your tax bills, you are not paying our office, right? You're paying the Cook County Treasurer's Office. We do not have anything to do with your local township tax rate, and we have nothing to do with the state equalizer. The only thing our office is responsible for is the value on your property and your discounts. So here are the discounts that our office offers: the homeowner's exemption, the senior citizen, the veterans with disability exemption, the returning veterans exemption, the persons with disability exemption, the senior freeze exemption, the home improvement exemption, and the long time exemption. I do want to stress that there are some key policy changes this year. We're going to go over them. Here are the three, there's a couple more actually, but the three main ones are here. We're going to go over them. I will be sure to say, hey guys, key policy change. And that way you can use that to kind of like cue you in if you're doing something else at the same time. So homeowner's exemption, this is for anyone who owns and occupies the property as of January 1. So what does that mean? For what we're doing right now, in order to qualify for the homeowner's exemption, you must have owned and occupied your property January 1 of 2022. That's it. January 1, 2022. Now, what if you have a new construction? What if you just built a property and you were not able to own and occupy it January 1 of 2022? That's okay. If it is a new construction, then your exemption will be prorated. Fun fact, the homeowner's exemption is automatically renewed. So once you apply for it one time, it will be under your property forever, unless there's a deed change or our office is made aware of something else. The senior citizen exemption. Senior citizen exemption, in order to qualify, you must have been born in 1957 or before. You must have owned and occupied the property at some time within 2022. So that could be January 1, 2022 or December 30th, 2022. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. As long as you owned and occupied it one day in that time, you qualify for that exemption. Fun fact, the senior citizen exemption is also automatically renewed. So we want to make a way for this to be a lot easier, simpler for seniors. So exemption policy change. I wish I had like a DJ, but like wah, 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 or an alarm or something, right? Exemption policy change. So for years, we've had something called the senior freeze exemption. Going forward, it is going to be renamed, name change, to the low income senior citizens assessment freeze. We're still going to refer to it as the senior freeze. However, the name has officially changed. You can refer to it as a senior freeze as well. Everyone in our office will know what you're talking about. This is not going to be automatically renewed, and I will tell you why. Your senior freeze cannot be automatically renewed because it is income based, and your income can change year to year, right? So in order to qualify for the senior freeze, you must have owned and occupied that property for 2 consecutive January 1s. That means January 1, 2021 at least, and January 1, 2022. You must have been born in 1957 or before, and you cannot make more than $65,000 as a total household income. We just want to stress that there is an income cap. You cannot make more than $65,000 as a total household income. To qualify, there are a couple of changes as well. Remember, this is one of the exemption policy changes. So if you are part of the Aid to the Aged, Blind, and Disabled program, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistant program, the Low Income Home Energy Assistance program, the Benefit Access program, or the Senior Citizen Real Estate Tax Deferral program, you do not need to complete the income verification on your senior freeze form. I will show you what that means in a second. But just know you don't have to do that. If you are enrolled in one of these programs, then you are automatically qualify for the senior freeze. You just know you will have to provide proof that you are in one of these programs. So just be aware of that. This is what the back of your exemption application will look like. And here at the bottom is where we are talking about these different programs, the ones that if you qualify for those, you don't need to fill out the income verification on the far right. You see over there on the far right above the QR code, that is your income verification. So again, if you do not qualify for anything in the yellow, you must fill out that income verification. If you qualify for something in the yellow, you can leave that other part blank. Exemption policy change. Persons with disability exemption. This is going to be automatically renewed, but it is not auto-renewed because of COVID. State legislation was designed and created to make this auto-renewable, so that is what's going to happen. Another policy change is that in the past, if someone said, hey, I qualify for the disabled persons exemption, can you please give me the P-tax form? We would give you a P-tax form. You would take that to your doctor and your doctor would fill it out, and only your doctor could fill it out. Well, someone like my mother-in-law, who is legally blind, is stuck because her optometrist is who would fill this out. Well, now they've added optometrists to the list. So again, policy change. You can now take your P-tax form to your doctor and or your optometrist as well. In order to qualify for the disabled persons exemption, you must have owned and occupied that property as of January 1 in 2022, and you must have been disabled in 2022. We had a lot of policy changes, guys. I apologize. Veterans with disability exemption. We have a policy change here as well. The disabled veteran exemption is no longer auto-renewed. Again, that was just a COVID thing we were doing. But here are some of the policy changes. Well, not really a policy change, more like we want to draw your attention to. In the past, if I was a disabled veteran and my wife and I were married and we owned and occupied the property and I passed away, my wife would be the beneficiary of my exemption. She would receive all of my benefits. Well, we just want to make sure that it is aware, that taxpayers are aware that you must have been a resident in Illinois from the time of the veteran's death through that taxable year to qualify. So I could not have been a Illinois resident and then my wife had been a Florida resident when I passed, and then she could not reap the benefits of my exemption. I hope that makes sense. I hope I'm making that clear for you all. But the policy change we want to show you or talk to you about or highlight is going forward. In the past, actually, we've had veterans come up and say, hey, I'm permanently disabled. I'm totally disabled. I'm 100% disabled. Why do I have to keep getting this eligibility letter? Why do I have to keep going to the VA? Why do I have to keep bothering them? Going forward, if your eligibility letter says that you have been deemed permanently or totally disabled by and is 100% disabled per the VA, you will automatically have your disabled persons exemption auto-renewed for you. So I hope that brings some solace to some folks. This is your eligibility letter for those who are unaware. And at the very bottom, you have your disability rate or your percentage, and then the terminology we would need for you to be 100% renewable. In order to qualify for this, you must have been an Illinois resident and served within the U.S. Armed Forces on active duty. You must have been in the National Guard or Reserve Forces as well. You must have a service-connected disability of 30% or greater. Now, these numbers change, or the dollar amount actually changes depending on where you live at within the county. So 30 to 49%, you get X removed off of your tax bill. If you are 50 to 69%, you get X removed off your tax bill. And if you're 70 to 100%, you don't pay property taxes at all, as long as your home is not worth more than $800,000. In the event that your property is worth more than that, you just have to be responsible for the difference. That's all. We also want to highlight that veterans that own multi-unit apartment buildings will receive a prorated exemption. So these are for folks who, have 3 flats and they live in 1 unit, but they're getting the exemption on the entire property. That is no longer the case. This will be for those This will only be for your specific units. Oops, returning veteran exemption. This is not auto renewable as well, but this is a unique exemption. This is for anybody who is a Illinois resident who has served in the U.S. Armed Forces, the National Guard, or Reserve Forces, and you are coming back from active duty. This is for the year you return and for 1 year later. I want to stress that, unfortunately, this is not for previous wars. So if this is someone coming in from, I don't know, we have a lot of veterans that come and say, hey, I was in World War II, I was in this war, I was in that war, do I qualify? This is for active duty service members only. The long time exemption, which is probably going to be a lot of questions that we have here tonight. This one's unique. Because the long time exemption has a unique situation going on, only 2% of the county actually qualifies for it. If you qualified, you would have received an application in the mail. If you did not receive an application in the mail, 9 times out of 10, that means you did not qualify. However, I'm not going to sit here and say that our office gets it right all the time. I wish we did. That is not the case, but regardless, I'm going to show you how to fix that in a second. But what are the requirements for the long time? You must have owned and occupied your property for 10 consecutive years, right? So that's January 1, 2012, all the way through, at least all the way through January 1 of 2022. Your total household income cannot be greater than 100,000. I'm going to say that again. Your total household income cannot be greater than 100,000. And to qualify, usually folks get the first and second requirement. It's the third one that kind of trips them up. The last requirement is that your equalized assessed value must have increased significantly. That word significantly, depending on where in the county you actually live. There are multiple different townships, and each township has a different equation or different math. So that's why it's a little bit different. But your equalized assessed value, not your tax bill, not your property value, your equalized assessed value, and I'll show you what that is in a second, must have increased significantly within those 10 years to qualify. And then the last exemption we're going to talk about today is the home improvement exemption. This is the only one you don't have to necessarily apply for. So let's say you want to do an improvement on your property, right? Well, what you can do is, assuming you pull permits correctly, once you pull those permits, that is triggered and sent to our office, and then our office will start doing the math. What the home improvement exemption actually does is it covers you for up to $75,000 in improvements. So let's do some simple math. If your property is worth $100,000 and you do $75,000 worth of improvements, your home is worth what now? $175,000. Well, what the home improvement exemption does is it freezes that extra $75,000 for 4 years. After your 4 years, then you will be taxed on that additional improvement, right? Let's say you do $76,000 worth of improvements. Well, this only covers 75, so you would be responsible for that extra 1,000. I hope that makes sense. In order to qualify, your property must be a class 2, which is a residential property, and we actually have more information on that on our website. I'm going to show you how to get there in a second. Applications for your exemptions are going to be opening in April. I would say mid-April, just to be safe, but we're going to have, I'm sure we're going to have some video or some information or some type of instructional something on our website showing you all how to do this. We're also going to be setting up events, so please just sign up for our newsletter. That way you can be made aware immediately when these things become available, so you're not like left in the dust a little bit. So just to recap, these 3 exemptions are automatically renewed: the homeowner's exemption, the senior citizen exemption, and the person with disabilities exemption. These 2 exemptions are automatically renewed, but with special stipulations, right? If you are 100% disabled or permanently disabled, the wording matters, then you will be automatically renewed for the veterans with disability exemption. And the homeowner and the home improvement exemption, you don't really have to apply for. It's once you pull your permits, it kind of triggers everything. So that's why those are kind of unique. Here's something very important. I really want to spend some time on this. So this is what your second installment tax bill would look like. Bottom left-hand corner, under where it says tax calculator, this is important information. So earlier we talked about the long-time exemption, about in order to qualify, your EAV must have increased significantly. And I said, we're not talking about your property value. We're not talking about your tax bill. We're talking about the equalized assessed value. Well, what the heck is that? How do I know what that is? How do I do? I'm going to show you right now. So on your second installment tax bill, only on your second installment tax bill, on your tax calculator, it is the sixth number down. So we have, yours would be updated, obviously. It would say 2022 equalized assessed value, whatever this number is here. This number must have increased significantly within those 10 years in order for you to qualify for the long time. So that's what I wanted to show you. Now, if I can draw your attention over to the right of that, where it says, kind of like the red box within the red box, this is where your discounts will be listed. So often I hear, hey, I don't know if I received my exemption. Can you help me? No problem. Do you have your tax bill? Yes. Can you pull it out? Awesome. Boom. It'll say homeowner, X amount of dollars. Senior citizen exemption, X amount of dollars. Senior freeze, returning veteran, disabled veteran, all of them will be listed here except for the long time exemption. For whatever reason, the Treasurer's Office likes to list it under important messages. Now, earlier, we talked about having a way for you all to contact us directly, right? Nobody likes calling, nobody likes red tape, nobody likes talking to an automated system. So let me help you out. So you can contact us directly at 312-443-7550. Now, yes, you will speak to a robot for about 30 seconds. Once you have your PIN number, go ahead and enter in your PIN number, then you will be redirected to one of us directly. You can connect with us easier, quicker on social media. We are on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. We are everywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, when we are not doing these type of events and we're not out in the public actually dealing with human beings, we're all on social media. We're all on Facebook. We're all on Twitter. We're all on Instagram. We're all everywhere. Send us a DM. Send us a direct message. Send us an inbox. Send us something, and we can help you that way as well. Maybe you want to make an appointment. Maybe you want to connect with us directly in person. That's fine. You can do that by visiting one of our 4 locations, right? I know you only see 3 because one is not open yet, but is opening soon. So you can visit us downtown at 118 North Clark. You can visit us at the Markham Courthouse, and you can visit us at the Skokie Courthouse. The Bridgeview Courthouse will be opening later in April as well, so we will definitely have this updated when that time comes. But what I want to kind of show you is, if you want to connect with us directly, like you don't want to call, you want to send an email directly to one of us, it's easy. All you have to do is open up your phone, open up your camera app, hover over this QR code, and then this actually never works because the reflection is always weird, but our Linktree account will open up. Now, straight from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here, you can sign up for our newsletter. It is the 4th, I know it's really bad, but it's the 4th option down. Literally just hover over this QR code, click the 4th option down. It says get updates from our office, sign up for our newsletter. Once you sign up for the newsletter, you will be, it's like a cheat code, right? You sign up, you fill in your specific information, and anything that's pertaining to you or your area, your township, you will know. That way you won't miss. That way you won't have to file a certificate of error, right? Well, what the heck is a certificate of error? Let's say you didn't take any of the advice that we gave you today, and you missed the deadlines for your exemptions. We don't have those deadlines now, obviously, because the applications are not available yet. But once they do, we will have that. But let's just pretend. Let's pretend we're past the deadline. Well, now you have to file what's called a certificate of error. A certificate of error is a way for you to apply for exemptions that you missed. Well, if you do that, there is a chance that your exemption will not be reflected on your second installment tax bill, resulting in a greater tax bill. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to deal with that nonsense, right? So please, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not telling you what to do. This is not legal counsel. This is not anything like that. I'm just suggesting, that if you want to stay up to date and you want to have important information sent to you, hover over the QR code or follow us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. Follow us everywhere. That way you can stay as up to date as humanly possible. So I have been speaking for about 25 minutes. I wanted to give ample time, enough time to answer these questions in the Q&A portion. So I'm going to stop sharing, and then we're going to answer questions, which is my favorite part. So do you want
Thanks,
to read them
Hector.
to me? Do you want me to read them?
Yeah,
Whatever you want to do.
we can do it either way. So, usually I read them. Occasionally people prefer to read them, but and I know that
Muted?
Gail and Teresa have answered a bunch of them
I've been
already,
muted
which
this
is
whole
great.
time?
What's that?
No, impossible.
What's wrong?
Impossible. Because I see my microphone working. I just don't hear anybody here. Why can't I hear?
Oh, you can't hear me? Oh, no. Angela, I wonder,
Give me one quick
am I
second.
muted
Hold on.
in the background somehow?
How about now? Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Okay,
Yes.
great. No, and you were not muted. I could hear you the whole time too.
I'm like, did I just do a whole presentation muted?
No, I definitely would have been hollering at you if that was the case. No, I think we were fine.
Okay.
But no, I was just saying, I usually read them unless you have a preference
Whatever
and
you want.
prefer to. But that, yeah, Teresa and Gail have answered a bunch of them already too. They've been working like crazy in the background, which is awesome. So yeah, I guess I'll just get started. Maria asks, is it absolutely necessary to get a building permit to get the exemption? Once the permit is obtained, are inspectors sent to your home to see what the plans are for the project and to make sure it's safe to proceed?
Great question. So I'm assuming they're speaking about the home improvement exemption. So legally, you have to pull permits, right? Like that's the law. So I can't tell you what to do, what not to do, how you should proceed. However, if you are planning on making improvements to your property, consider the following. If you don't pull permits and you do it yourself, that's cool, you're saving money. But everyone's neighbors are their best friends and great neighbors until you piss them off. So I'm just gonna let you know, we do get what's called squeal appeals. And that is when taxpayers let us know that their best friends are building something they shouldn't be building, doing something they shouldn't be doing, getting a discount they shouldn't be receiving. And nobody likes that. So I'm not telling you what to do. This is not legal counsel by any means, but I would probably just pull the permit. And what will happen then is, no, we won't have someone come out to your property. That's a field request. Our field check, no. But what will happen is our office will then say, well, is this actually an improvement? For example, I'm using extremes right now just to keep it simple. I'm going to redo my wallpaper. No, that doesn't count, right? I'm going to, I don't know, tear down a wall and rebuild it. That might count, right? So that's up to when you pull your permits and that information is sent into our office, and then the person who's in charge of that will then take over that.
Okay. Every month or so, I receive a solicitation from groups who want to help filing my homeowner's exemption. Is utilizing one of these groups helpful?
If you think it is, right? So how do I say this correctly? Do you need someone to help you file your exemption? If the answer is yes, contact the Cook County Assessor's Office. We do it for free. And we do events like these all the time. You can literally go to the Cook County Assessor's YouTube page or Facebook page or Instagram page, scroll through until you see my face, and I'm showing you how to do it. Well, I had longer hair and I was 100 pounds heavier, but just look for someone that looks like me with a ponytail or a bun and just watch the video. I literally walk you through how to do it. But if you would rather have someone help you do it and it's not our office, you absolutely can use them. I just don't know if they're going to do it for free, if they're going to charge you. I don't know what the case is, but there's no need. Literally, there's no need.
Yeah, the ways that you guys are accessible is kind of insane. I couldn't believe all of the different ways that you were like, contact us,
Welcome to the
contact us.
County Assessor's Office, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I was a little blown away by that. Okay, my dad died in 2018 and I'm still receiving senior exemption. How can I rectify this? The property is in a land trust and I have informed both the land trust upon his death, and I've reached out to the assessor's office via email and mail. I received no response. What do I need to do?
So one, my condolences. A passing of a parent is crazy. So I'm sorry. I definitely will be praying for, oh, you're anonymous, whatever. I'll still be praying for you tonight. However, here's what I suggest you do. You can do all kind of different things. Here's what I suggest you do. It's going to involve some work, but I would encourage you to do it this way so that you're covering every angle. You should go to the Cook County Assessor's office, make an appointment with the Erroneous Exemption Department, and speak to someone there, and then follow whatever steps they tell you. Because here's what might happen. Not saying this is what will happen. This is what could happen. Most definitely, absolutely can happen. Is our office finds out that you've been receiving an exemption that you should not have been receiving, that you no longer qualified for, and then you can be back taxed, you can have penalties, and you can have interest. And nobody wants that on top of your already very sad situation. So just please go to the Cook County Assessor's office, speak to someone in the Erroneous Exemption Department, let them know this was your father's property, not yours, and your father passed away and you had no idea what was happening and you just want to make it right.
Okay. Let's see. Do I need to apply for this senior tax exemption?
Great question. If it's your first year applying, absolutely you need to apply because we don't know you're a senior, right? But once you apply, you no longer have to apply again. The senior citizen exemption is automatically renewed. However, the senior freeze you must apply for annually because it is income based. You could hit the lottery and you no longer qualify. You could lose your job and now you do qualify because you don't make as much money as you did last year. So
okay. I have the first time homeowner exemption. I turned 65 this month. Must I apply for the senior exemption?
great question. If you turned 65 in 2023, I believe that means you were born in 1958. Maybe. I was born July 3rd, 1987. My cousin Amanda, she was born January 21st, 1988. We're both 36. We're both 35, right? So it just depends on what your birthday is. But I believe if you were born in 1957 or before, you qualify now. If you were born after 1957, you have to wait for your year to come.
Okay. Why is the first installment always accessed at 55%, but the exemption showed up in the second?
Great question. One would think that if you have two of something, they must equal a whole. Unfortunately, that is not how Cook County does it. So the Cook County Treasurer's Office issues you, I'm going to keep it simple. There are different variations, but issues you 2 tax bills a year for most people, right? Your first installment is blue, typically issued when it's cold outside, and it is 55% of the previous year's entire bill. The second installment is typically issued when it's warm outside. I know this year was a little bit different. It's yellow and it has your discounts. The first installment and second installment are separate and unique. They are not two pieces of one. They don't equal 100. One isn't 55%, the other one is 45%. No. The first one is its own bill. The second one is its own bill. That is just the way the Treasurer's Office does it. I can tell you that your first installment will never have any discounts on it. Your second installment will always have your discounts on it. So,
okay. How do you apply for the senior exemption for a new property? I had it in my old property sold on July 5th, 2022. So I think transferred.
Yep. So this might sound complicated, but it's not. You owned an occupied property 1, your old property, in 2022, and then you moved to your new property. Can you repeat it? Was it 2022 or 2023?
They sold the old property on July 5th, 2022. So they're trying to figure out how to get it on the new property.
Yeah, absolutely. All you have to do is show your closing doc. This you kind of want to do in person. Can you do it online? Yes, I would not. I work here. I would not. I would go in person with my closing documentation and my updated driver's license or state ID and say, hey, I just bought this property. Here's my closing documentation. Here's the proof. Can I have my senior citizen exemption, please?
Okay. How long do you need to live in your home to trigger the long time occupant exemption?
Great question. You must have owned and occupied that property for 10 consecutive years. So to qualify this year, You must have owned and occupied it at least January 1, 2012, all the way through January 1, 2022.
Right. Teresa's already answering this one. Oh, all right. We got through all of them, which is.
Listen, we're used to answering about 1,000 a day. No lie.
It was like the efficiency behind the scenes here and with you. It's pretty remarkable.
Thank you. Shout out to the communications or civic
I
engagement.
know.
I'm sorry, civic engagement group.
Incredible. Well, if we don't have any more questions, is there anything else you'd like to add then, Hector, or any reminders, anything like that?
Yes, yes,
Great.
yes, yes. Please, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot stress how important it is to be as up to date as humanly possible. We're living in a time where things change all the time, right? So please sign up for our newsletter. Follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, follow us on LinkedIn, follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel, please, because we're always updating our information. We're always doing events. We're always doing virtual things. And the most frustrating thing for someone who does what I do is I didn't know. How didn't you know? like we do this every day. We do this every day. So please sign up. I'll wait. We're going to take a second. I'll wait. Please sign up. Please sign up. Sign up. That way, you know when it's time for you to file for your exemptions, when it's time for you to file your appeals, when it's time for you to know anything about anything in your area. Please, guys, I care about you guys. I really do. I know you probably think I don't, but I wouldn't be not eating dinner with my family if I didn't, right? So please, 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 I care about you guys and I care about your homes, but I shouldn't care more than you do, right? It's your house, not mine. So please sign up for our newsletter. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, follow us on social media everywhere. And you can go to cookcountyassessor.com, top right-hand corner, boom, click the icon. That's the fastest way to do it. And that way you'll be as informed as humanly possible.
Okay, so they sign into the newsletter. Yeah, now we got somewhere. That often happens. So go to the Cook County Assessor's site, go to the top right and click on sign up for the newsletter, right?
I'll tell you right now, I'm going to do it right now just to make sure, because cookcountyassessor.com, and it is, yep, it's on our website. It is at the top in like the khaki color bar. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and I have no idea what this is. What is this? Medium.com. I don't even know what that is, but follow that too.
Okay. A couple people asked you if you could put up the QR code again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Share screen.
Yeah.
Desktop number 2. Share. All right. There it is.
Okay. All right, a couple more questions then we can answer. I was told to file for a certificate of errors for past years. Do I apply now or on April 10th?
Great question. Oh my God. Excellent question. So for I love these questions. So anybody who is trying to file a certificate of error, you don't have to wait till the exemptions are open. Certificate of errors are on our website right now. Ms. Gail or Ms. Teresa, can one of you all drop the link to the, actually, I think I can do it. No, I can't because I'm shared. Can one of you all drop the link to the certificate of errors in here, please? That way everyone has it, and if anyone has this question, they can do it. But as of right now, as of this moment, you can apply for 2021, 2020, 2019, 2018. So we can go back. I'm sorry, that doesn't make sense. 22, 21, 2019. That's what we can do. We can do 2020, 2019, and 2018. So if you're missing any exemptions, please go ahead. I'm actually going to, I wish I could connect this to this, but.
Yeah, it's a little clunky on Zoom in terms of just putting things up like that.
Well, we can go 2018, 2019, 2020, and 2021, but 2018 is going to be disappearing very soon. Very soon. So please, if you're missing anything, you want to do this ASAP.
Okay, good to know. And what is your handle on Instagram?
Give me 2 seconds. I believe it's Assessor Cook, but let me just double check.
And I could, let's see.
It's Cook County Assessor, one word.
Ah, I see. Yep, Cook
And the
County
logo
Assessor.
is our logo. It's white with a blue house and yellow awning or something.
Okay. So please explain an improvement permit.
I'm assuming they're talking about the home improvement exemption. So again, that is for anyone who's doing any improvements on their property up to $75,000. The way this would work in a perfect world is you would file your permits. Your permits are sent to our office and then we do the math. You are covered up to $75,000 for 4 years. Anything greater than that $75,000, so let's say you did $76,000 worth of improvements, you are responsible for that extra $1,000. What does it mean that you're responsible? That means it's going to be added to your assessed value and you will be taxed on it.
Okay. Are there mental illnesses that would qualify as a disability?
Great question. Our office has zero authority, ladies and gentlemen, zero authority to deem anyone disabled or not. That's why we have the P-tax form. That P-tax form will then, your physician fills it out and they fill it out on your behalf. As long as you meet the requirements, which is on that application, you get the exemption. We don't say if you're disabled or not. That has nothing to do with us.
Okay. With the long time exemption, will I get a refund for the extra 4 years I've owned my house?
If they qualified for those years, absolutely.
Okay. It looks like sometimes when we answer questions, there's like a follow-up question. Teresa, you'd answered a question a while back. I'm not sure if you see that some coach is asking if you could follow up with that follow-up question. If you don't see it or it's too buried in all of the other ones, Coach Carol, you might want to put that question here again for us. Okay, we purchased our home in June 2020. Can we fill out the form this April?
Great question. So the law says the property must be owner occupied January 1 of the taxable year. So January 1, 2022. It doesn't say you have to own it. It says it must be owner occupied. So my question would be, Ms. Jacqueline, did you buy this property off of someone that owned it and was occupying it? If the answer is yes, then all you have to do is come in with your closing documentation to prove that. If the answer is no, then no, you do not qualify. You have to wait till next year. And whoever said great presentation, thank you. I appreciate you.
Okay. All right, we are, once again, all the questions have been answered. Amazing.
We just give a shout out to the civic engagement team. Ms.
Yeah,
Gibson,
seriously,
Ms.
bravo.
Applause, ladies and gentlemen.
This is awesome. This is a really wonderful format. Thank you. To have 3 of you here is extraordinary. So
Oh, thank you for having us. You guys literally could be doing anything else with your time. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
yeah, this is great. All right, well, since we have this, I think legitimate pause here. Oh, wait, do I wait until April to get a long time exemption? To get the
Great question. Great question. So if you qualify, our office will actually send you an application. If you don't receive an application, that means 9 times out of 10 you don't qualify. But if you think you do, go ahead and send us a DM, right? Send us a message and we'll do the math for you and let you know if you qualify or not. Lewis says he's trying to find the newsletter. So if you scan the QR code, Lewis, I'm sorry, I did not mean to jump ahead of you. I apologize.
No, go ahead.
But if you somebody will drop the link for you. But if you scan the QR code, open up that link, it is the 4th option down.
Yeah, and we should be able to include, some of these links and maybe the QR code also. Just to remind everybody, we're going to have a follow-up email that's going to go out. Anybody who registered tonight who's watching, you're going to get an email sometime in the next few days, possibly early next week. It's going to have, a link to this. So you'll be able to look at all of this and have that QR code in front of you as long as you want it. Also, you can go to the Chicago Bungalow Association Facebook page. We'll have it uploaded there as well. And on our website, we also will have this presentation loaded. So you'll get all of this information again as well, just in case you missed anything or didn't take notes quickly enough or forgot to ask your question or something. And obviously there are 132 ways to contact Hector and Gail and Teresa after this, depending on whatever your social media poison is, or if you just want to call on the phone. So I think we are, okay, well, Maria won't be catching us through social media, it looks like, but Maria, you can always call. And okay, one more question from Tracy. She had mold in her basement in 2021 and the cost was $10,000 to get it fixed. Does this qualify as a home improvement exemption?
So I can't answer that because I don't know how the permits were pulled, what kind of, I don't know, right? So if it was done correctly, here's what you should know. If your permits were pulled, you will be automatically enrolled. It's not something you have to do. And you'll know because you know how much your permits cost. You know how much your home is worth, or what we say your home is worth. So you would know that.
All right. Okay. All right. I think we're good then. Thank you, Hector, Gail, and Teresa. Thank you so much once again for answering everybody's questions, of which there were 62, by the way, that you managed to get through.
Let's do it.
And just for your awesome energy as well, Hector. Really appreciate it. Again,
thank you guys.
No, it was a pleasure. Again, everybody, we're going to have native plants and attic expansion webinars in April, so please join us for that.
Native plants?
Everybody for native plants, yeah. What native plants you want to plant?
Oh, I'm sorry. I know a brand named Native Plant, and I'm like, you're going to have them on here?
Oh no, actual just lowercase.
Okay.
Lowercase NP. So yeah, please join us for that if you can, and if you're interested, and we will see you all then. Everybody have a lovely evening. Get out there, take a walk. I think it's still a little bit warm-ish. All right. Thank you again. Take care.
Bye-bye, guys. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for having us.
Pleasure.